Hello everyone, I am Sanket Singh. I'm working as a software engineer at Google and welcome back to my channel. So guys, in this particular video, I'm going to talk about a very interesting topic that is around meetups and tech conferences. That whether you should be regularly aware about what all tech conferences or meetups are happening and should you actually attend them? Is there any value proposition that these conferences and meetups actually provide? Are there any disadvantages involved in all of these tech meetups and all of these collaboration opportunities? Everything we are going to talk about in this particular video. So the last year, I actually went to 2 offline conferences and I attended one of the conference online, all 3 as a speaker. Before that, I got some opportunity to actually attend a few online conferences as well, but normally as an attendee. This year as well, I will be attending a bunch of conferences as a speaker. So I would say I'm also not a very seasoned speaker, but yes, I have got some exposure by going to conferences like PyCon Italia, EuroPython, NDC Melbourne, etc. This year as well, I will be attending a bunch of PyCons along with React Nexus that's actually happening in India. But in this particular video, I'm going to talk about what are some of the good and advantageous reasons why you should be aware about these conferences and meetups and what is the value proposition. So in this video, I'm not just going to talk about the tech conferences where a lot of speakers and attendees come up, speakers give a lot of different tech sessions and you get opportunities to network. Apart from that, there are some local tech meetups that a lot of people organize in order to network and knowledge sharing. We'll also talk about all of that. And again, all of this are my opinion. Maybe you can differ with respect to this, that, okay, maybe you don't feel in the same manner about these conferences and everything, right? So take everything with a pinch of salt. I am just sharing my own opinion, and do watch the video till the very end. At last, I will tell you some of the very cool ways in which you can also get all of the important knowledge and all of the discussion that actually happen in these international level conferences. So without any further delay, let's just start. But before starting the video, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing to the channel. We are going to put tons and tons of interesting tech and software industry related content on this particular channel. Also, do drop a like on the video if you found it useful. So let's just start. So before starting the video, I would like to tell you about algocam.io. So if you are someone who is going to prepare for your upcoming coding interviews, you are someone who already knows basic problem solving and basic data structures and algorithms, and now you want to just kickstart your journey, or I would say level up your journey for your interviews in, let's say, next upcoming 3 to 4 months, where your target is to solve as many good, hard problems as possible that are going to be asked in the top companies, then you can definitely go and check out the top coding interview problems course on algocam.io, where we are going to solve more than 400 problems live as well as in hybrid recorded manner. It's a completely power packed course where we have picked not only just the data structures and algorithmic topics, but we have picked specific lectures where we are going to talk about specific techniques on every data structures and algorithm. For example, you can see there is dedicated lecture on problem solvings or arrays, then dedicated separate lectures on 2-pointers. Then you can see there is dedicated specific lecture on time and space complexity analysis and their problem solving. Then there is a bunch of revision lectures because we know that recursion and backtracking still pains a lot of students. So there are a bunch of revision lectures for that. Then we'll talk about maths, we'll talk about modular exponentiation and matrix exponentiation because a lot of questions around these are asked in online coding tests. Then we'll talk about problem solving around sorting, basic sorting algorithms, then dedicated problem solving around merge sort based problems, and of course not just inversion count but major wide variety of problems around merge sort, then quick sort and similar techniques around quick select algorithm, binary search, and you can see dedicated set of lectures around binary search on answer, minimax problems, binary search on real numbers and whatnot. Then linked list, you can see there are dedicated lectures on stacks, there is dedicated lectures on queues, binary search trees, binary trees, heaps, hashing, DP, tries, string algorithms, and all the different variety of DP along with graphs, DSUs, MSTs and whatnot. And there will be a lot of mixed problem solving lectures that will happen. This is definitely not a lecture or not a course where we are going to talk about any cakewalk level problem or something. Everything that we are going to pick is going to be medium or lead code hard, or the problems are going to be from code forces or code chef, right? This is something that you can definitely try and check it out, and you can use the code algocamp500 to get a flat 500 rupees off on this particular course. It's going to be something really power packed and something that you should definitely check it out. So if you are someone who is preparing for their coding interviews, do check out this course and you can check out more things around algocam.io. So now let's just move back to our video. So guys, before we actually talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of both of the things, you need to first of all understand what is the exact difference between the tech conferences as well as the local meetups that have happened between a bunch of techies, right? So generally a tech conference is organized at a very large scale. There are a lot of sponsors, including some very big companies and very renowned startups as well, right? All of these companies do not just sponsor the corresponding conference, but also their representatives come and attend the conference. Sometimes they also attend the conference as a speaker. They will be speaking at a bunch of topics, right? And in these conferences, there will be speakers coming from all over the globe, right? People from US, Europe, Asia Pacific, everywhere. Different speakers come up with expertise in some particular field. Maybe most of the time these conferences are generally aligned over a particular tech field, right? And then they share their thoughts, they conduct workshops, they conduct lightning talks. Lightning talks are very small talks, for example, like 15 or 20 odd minute talks. Then there are normal talks which goes for around 30 to 40 to 45 minutes. And then there are workshops which can go for 2 hours or maybe more than 2 hours as well, right? So all of these speakers come up and there are a lot of attendees. Now in attendees, there are people who are actually attending some college, or maybe there can be some people who are working in some other company but came here for networking opportunities as well as to get some new knowledge around the tech, right? In these tech conferences, a lot of time there are dedicated job fairs. Not every tech conference has a dedicated job fair, but a lot of them do have it. Apart from that, all of these sponsors that actually sponsor the conference, they are also looking for like-minded people and people who are pretty good in the corresponding tech domain that they are also hiring. So sometimes there are hiring opportunities as well because of the networking that you get. And if somebody really likes your profile and they saw that, okay, you are attending it, or let's say you are a speaker, then they also give you some opportunity in their corresponding startup or company, right? So this is the scale where tech conferences work at. So if you want to take a look at some of the tech conferences that are happening, not only just in India, but all over the globe, you can actually very easily Google them. For example, if you want to look at some of the React related conferences, you can actually go to the official website of React and you can see there are dedicated conferences listed, that which conference is going to happen in what month and what date. So you can actually do apply there, maybe as an attendee or as a speaker, right? Apart from that, there are these local meetups that happen. So a bunch of techies generally arrange a local meetup where people meet for around 4 to 5 hours. They chill a bit, they network a bit, they try to understand what the other people are doing. It's just that people try to understand what other people are doing in their domain, right? Sometimes these local meetups are also happen at a very good scale where some of the very renowned people in that corresponding domain come up and try to network with other people. But of course, the scale has a significant difference as such, right? So guys, I will be talking about 4 very important points that you need to keep in mind, because these are some of the points that makes these tech conferences and meetup very useful for you as a software engineer or as an aspiring software engineer. The first one of them is the networking opportunity. So if you go to tech conferences, there are people which come from different companies, different startups, different domains, but they might be working in similar technology. For example, let's say React. You might be working in some Indian startup, or some other people might be working in some US based startup or some other FANG based companies, anywhere. All of them are coming up at one place. They share all of their knowledge. You get dedicated time to actually meet them. There are a lot of stalls that the sponsor of the conferences actually put. So what happens is you can actually go there, you can talk to them, you can talk about what product they actually make. For example, it's not necessary that the sponsors are always companies like Google or Facebook or Microsoft. There are a lot of startups as well that actually sponsor in these conferences. You can actually understand about their product. What do they make? How do they make it? What is the scale that they work with? And apart from that, you can actually talk to the speakers who have came to the conference, or let's say all the attendees. You can meet a lot of attendees and actually talk to them. A lot of time these tech conferences also give you kind of like accommodation setup as well as travel setup. So you also get a chance to live with other people, right? Understand what they are actually doing in their particular field and so on. So there is a huge networking opportunity that you get, and not just in tech conferences, but even if you go to some meetups, small meetups as well, there people from different domains come up and they actually do a lot of I would say knowledge sharing, and then you can actually understand what they work on. And always these networking opportunities help, because let's say if you want to shift a job, or let's say you want to start working in a particular domain that somebody else is already doing and you met them in a conference or a meetup, then you can actually talk to them. You can talk to them that maybe in their company is there any hiring, or maybe they would be able to refer you, or they can actually guide you that how you can actually get started in that particular domain. All of these things you can actually do. And you already know, I believe, that networking is one of the most important tool that you should actually do. A lot of time you will see a lot of people actually telling you that try to network with other people, try to network with communities across India as well as outside India, right? So networking is something that is going to be pretty useful for you in order to build career in tech, and these conferences definitely help us in doing that. The second most important point, that is knowledge sharing. right? Now, if you go to these conferences, you will realize that people who are very experienced in their corresponding field and whatever corresponding tech which is the conference focused on, they come there as a speaker and they actually try to talk about some new and relevant things that are introduced in the technology. For example, these technologies can vary from some front-end related libraries like React or Angular to machine learning related stuff, right? There is a wide variety of conferences that actually exist. Some of them are related to open source. So there is an open source summit that actually happens. There are a lot of PyCons that are related to Python and related technologies. There are a lot of React based conferences, for example, React Rally, React Nexus. There are a lot of JavaScript based conferences, for example, JSConf, right? There are a lot of Android and mobile development related conferences and whatnot, right? So different conferences have different themes and different agendas, and people actually go to these conferences and talk about some of their experiences, some of the new inventions that have that are recently launched in that particular technology, and you actually get to learn all of this. If you attend any of these conferences, you get a lot of knowledge sharing. People actually come up, prepare a lot of coding implementations and actually teach you there. There are dedicated workshops as well, hands-on workshops as well, that actually happens there. So the amount of knowledge that is floating all around in a tech conference is definitely extremely high. For example, I went to NDC Melbourne last year and I came to know about a very interesting topic of web OTP. So you might have heard about normal OTPs that come to your phone and you have to authenticate yourself using that. Nowadays, there is a new concept called as web OTP. Now, before that conference, I was not actually aware about that there is something new that has been released as web OTP. But while attending NDC Melbourne, I was there as a speaker, but I was also attending the talks of other speakers, and there I learned about this. And similar experiences I had when I was attending PyCon or when I was attending EuroPython, right? So the knowledge sharing is extremely high in these tech conferences. But to be very honest, in my opinion, specifically, I don't feel in local meetups there is a lot of technical knowledge sharing that goes on. Yes, people actually talk about what they are working on, what they actually feel is the future of this particular tech and things like that. But there is not actual knowledge sharing on a particular topic, on a particular framework, on a particular library, on executing some particular thing in a product. These kind of actual core technical talks are somewhat missing in these, I would say, local meetups. So you should always try to be very sure about whenever you are attending a local meetup, you should be sure that whatever time you're going to spend, how you are going to utilize that time, because there will be some certain set of expectations that will be going on there, and maybe you don't want to waste a lot of time. If let's say you are just going to network with people there and you actually thought that people will be talking about some very interesting tech and maybe teaching you something, that's not going to happen most of the time in some local meetups. To be very honest, I used to feel like that I don't want to attend every local meetup that is happening. Yes, if I knew that, okay, some of my very close friends are going there and it's a very interesting local meetup which is about a domain that I have definitely no knowledge on, or maybe some very renowned or seasoned developer is coming actually in attending that particular meetup, then I definitely used to go when I was in college, right? But generally, you have to actually take a very conscious call that how you're going to spend that particular amount of time there. So this is something that you have to always keep in mind. The third most important point is collaboration and exposure to new technologies, right? So when you actually attend these meetups and conferences, then you actually get to collaborate with other people. A lot of time people find like-minded people and they start working on projects together. Some of the benefits are, for example, you actually attend a conference and there is a organization or some company that have came as a sponsor, and you can actually talk to all of those people and you will be able to get some job opportunities there. Maybe if your profile suits their requirement, then they might even set up an interview with you, right? Or sometimes there are some very interesting open source organizations that actually participate in these, I would say, tech conferences. You can actually start talking to their people and you can actually start even contributing there. You can get some idea about what product they actually work on, and you can actually go to their open source GitHub repositories and start contributing there. So you actually get a lot of collaboration opportunities. I've seen some of my friends who got their very good hackathon team partners by going to conferences like these, right? So this is one of the very important benefit that actually exists with these tech conferences. Similar thing happens with meetups as well. You go there, you meet like-minded people and you get chance to collaborate with them, maybe on some freelancing project or maybe some hackathon. Similar thing exists. And apart from that, you get to know a lot of new things. You get exposure to some new technologies. Maybe that is something that you have never heard of, or even if you have heard of, you are not actually sure about what that particular technology is doing, right? So this is, I would say, a very beneficial scenario for you, because not only you are not just getting a good amount of knowledge sharing, but you are also getting opportunity to network with people, to collaborate with people, and later in time you will realize that this collaboration or this networking that you have actually done by actually going to these conferences turns out to be extremely helpful for you in growing in your career. The fourth most important point is your personal and professional development. So going to these meetups and going to these tech conferences, you actually meet a lot of people. You come out of your own bubble that, okay, I know this is something that goes in the tech industry, because a lot of time you realize that you don't even know 1% of what actually happens in the tech industry, what other people are actually doing. So you actually develop a lot of insights around the tech industry, right? Apart from that, you develop your own personality because you meet a lot of people, then you get opportunity to collaborate with them, right? You get a lot of professional benefits like some job opportunities sometimes if you can get, or let's say you network with people and maybe they would be able to refer you somewhere. So this kind of opportunities actually exist, right? If you will just remain in your own nutshell and feel that, okay, this is something that I know and this is it, this is all about tech, then of course your knowledge is not going to improve. So at a personal as well as professional level, I believe that by attending these meetups and these conferences, it becomes extremely helpful for you to grow as a software engineer, to grow as an engineer in the community, understand what's going on in the community, and later actually be a part of that community and start contributing to that community. This is something that is extremely important. Now we have talked about a lot of advantages that you get actually when you are attending these conferences, but there are some cons as well. Number one con is time, right? You have to actually spend a lot of time in actually going to these conferences. For example, if you're going to a local conference, still you might have to travel from one state to another. Or if you're attending some international conference, then you have to spend a lot of time. You have to sometimes go to different continents. So of course you have to take, let's say 8 to 13 or maybe more than that hours of flight, and actually then go there and spend your own resources, spend your own time, because generally these conferences goes for 3 to 4 days, and it makes sense that if you're going there, you attend all the 3 to 4 days, consume as much knowledge as possible, right? Generally the local meetups are a beneficial scenario here because they are generally happening in close vicinity, and most of the time you don't have to spend a lot of time there. You can just go 4 to 5 hours, you can attend, you can network with people, talk to them, know about them, and then maybe just come back. Tech conferences, on the other hand, take a lot of time, and maybe if you have a very busy and hectic schedule, you might have to skip actually going in, I would say, offline conferences. But there is an alternative nowadays. Most, I would say 90 to 95% of the conferences nowadays happen in virtual fashion. So if you have the tickets to the conference, then maybe you can actually directly virtually attend it by staying at your home or whatever is your native place. Apart from that, one very big con that I know that exists with at least tech conferences is that if, let's say, you're a student, then you might not be able to directly afford the fees or entry ticket, because most of the time these conferences are paid. You have to actually get a ticket, which is slightly expensive than if you get some knowledge about that similar tech from a course. Of course, that there is the knowledge sharing that happens in the tech conferences is very high, but that comes with a corresponding cost as well. But if you are a student, then you can actually apply for student grants and student scholarships. There are a lot of friends of mine who when were in college, they used to apply for student scholarship, and they used to get student scholarship that used to sponsor everything from their travel, to their stay, food, most of the things, and they used to go absolutely free to these conferences, attend it, get all the knowledge, and then come back. But of course, this is not for everyone. If your application will be having all the eligibility criteria met and you will be genuinely in requirement of a scholarship, then only they give it. But I have an alternative. In case you are not able to afford all of these conferences, don't worry. Generally, after 4 to 5 months, most of the conferences, like 80 to 90% of the conferences, they start putting all of the speaker sessions on YouTube absolutely for free. You can actually go to any of these conferences YouTube channel and start learning from there. And trust me one thing, if you are someone who has knowledge on an intermediate to a mid-advanced level in a particular tech, start watching these YouTube channels and start watching these conference videos. Your knowledge will increase 10x, right? They talk about very deep tech. If you see the advanced, I would say sessions, then you will learn a lot of things that you might not be even aware about. This is something that is very cool, and it's absolutely free. Just go on YouTube and start watching these conferences, right? And one more thing is also free, all the lectures on this particular YouTube channel. So if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, man, please subscribe it. We are going to talk about a lot of very interesting things around tech, right? So these are some of the, I would say, disadvantages of these conferences, but I believe if you are able to attend it live, offline, trust me, the networking opportunities that you get is extremely huge. The learning opportunity that you get is extremely huge. And let's say if you're a working professional, then I believe for working professional, a lot of time their companies also sponsor their ticket. It's very rare although, but yes, if the companies feel that if you will go to the conference and you can get some meaningful information that can upskill you and later help the company only, then generally they sponsor some part at least of your corresponding tickets, right? Apart from that, if you are a speaker, most of the time they will sponsor a lot of things for you. But I believe if you are going as a student, definitely do apply for a student scholarship. Do apply for a student grant. That's going to help you a lot. It will be almost free for you, and you will get a lot of knowledge sharing. And that's it for the video, guys. I hope you guys got a good amount of exposure around what actually happens inside these tech conferences and whether you should attend it or not. Doesn't matter whether you are able to attend it offline or online. Do watch all of the previous sessions of these conferences. They are going to be extremely helpful, right? I will be going to at least 2 of the conferences this year. I have applied for a few more. I am still awaiting for their results. Let's hope for the best. But I'll be going to React Nexus in July only, and there is one more PyCon I'll talk about, or I will maybe share about it in the community channel separately, right? So if you guys like the video, don't forget to drop a like, and please drop your comments and tell me your thoughts. How was the video? What other topics you want to watch on this particular channel? If you have any recommendation, I would be happy to make a video on that. Also, we have already uploaded a bunch of lectures of 10x Engineer Bootcamp. Do watch that. All of these lectures are free. We are going to put more of the lectures in the upcoming set of days. So please do share all of these videos with your friends so that we can get higher reach and we can actually talk about all of these important things with more and more people. That being said, let's just wrap this particular video here. We are going to meet soon in the next set of videos. Till then, take care, guys. Bye-bye. I am Sanket Singh, signing off.